Okay, so fine, we are talking about the reduce method earlier in the last session. Okay, and we have seen those two forms. Fine, where in one of those forms it would use it would have the identity and a binary operator. Fine, because we are using binary operator because the type was same. The result was always of the identity was T. The result so when the identity was T, the return value was also of type T. So our reduction was of the same type as the type of the elements in the stream. Fine, but sometimes you might have a result which is of a different type than the type of the stream. Okay, fine. For example, suppose you are taking average. Fine, you are taking average over integer values. Fine. So when you are taking average over integer values, the average would be of type double. Fine, but the values which are coming from the stream are of type integers. Fine, so there are cases where you might have the result type to be different from the stream type. Fine, so for such cases we have yet another form of the reduce method. Okay, fine. This reduce method where the type of result would be R. Fine, so we might have an additional type parameter here for R. Okay, so we would have the return type as R instead of T. It's not the same as the type of the stream. So we have the reduce method, okay, which would take in as parameter. First parameter would be of type R. So this is your initial result, right? And then it takes another parameter which is a bifunction of R, T, R. Okay, fine. Let's try to just understand these two itself, how the reduce method is working. So how the reduce method actually works is something like this. When the initial identity which we have specified here, okay, that identity is used here. Fine. So we have R that is of type R. So that's your identity. Okay, and then we have an object, fine, and then we have objects from the stream to be used. So it takes the first element, let's say from the stream, let's say this is T1. So this would be of type T, okay, combines these two to arrive at the result. Fine. So this is the result by applying the bifunction. It applies the bifunction on these two and derives a new value of new result. Fine. And on this result, it would again pick up the next element. So elements from stream would now be used with the previous result. So this is my previous result, and then it is applying the let's say this is my element T2 of type T, okay, which comes from the stream, and then it applies that same binary operator, fine, and arrives at a new value of R. So this would then go on like this, okay, fine. So we have the result like this. Fine. So we have the reduce method with, okay, these two you understand, but there's one more now. Your stream is a parallel stream. Right? It's possible to break it into partitions and process each partition separately. But then if I process each partition separately, I'll have to combine the results. Fine, I have I'm parallel if each partition of my stream has its own set of results, those results need to be combined, and that would require one more operation. So this is identity, this is your operation which we do on which we want to perform, and we have another one which would be a by consumer, not by consumer, it will be again a by function of, it's a binary operator because it will be of, yeah, binary operator of R. This is not bifunction, it's a binary operator of R. This is what we call as the combiner. Three things needed. This is R this is T, two inputs R and T results in R. My operation which I have to specify is a by function which takes R and T and returns R. Fine. That's a reduction function. Fine. This can do reduction for me, but since I have done partitioning, it might be using the library might like to use partitioning. Fine, might like to partition and carry out parallel operations. Each of those results which are of type R need to be combined again to arrive at the final result. Okay, so I need a combiner for combining all the R's. That's a binary operator of R. So this is one partition, another partition also has its own R. So combining R to return a new R. That's a binary operator of R. That's what we call as the combiner. Identity, that by function, and the combiner.
So let's say there are 4 parallel processes are going on. So in that case, combiner will combine all the 4. Two, and then again.
Yeah, it will be 2 at a time.
2 at a time.
Yes.
So combiner will perform job twice. First
Yeah.
of all, output of 2.
Or thrice, right? Because 2, and whatever is the output of those 2 again.
Okay, so twice.
Right? So we have to just specify, okay, that's my initial starting. So this initial starting is used by everyone. That identity, each partition uses the same identity value. Fine, they use the same identity value and they use the same operation. Once those operations are completed, it starts combining them. Okay, and that's the combiner. Okay, fine. You might have a look at the API. And here's the java.util.stream package, and here we got the stream interface. Okay, and the methods. Okay, just a quick look. The static methods here, the factory method. There's a builder also, but fine. The concatenation, getting an empty stream. Generate would require a supplier. Fine. Iterate would require the unary operator. Fine. That's nothing but your series kind of a thing. Okay. And we have t dot dot dot. So could be used with array. Right. And from a single element. Okay. You have instance methods here. And all my, now this would be alphabetical order, not the way I've grouped it. But let's look at the reduce method first. There's 3 forms. And those are those map methods. You can see all of them. Map to int, map to long, map to double. Right? They take that function or to double, to int, to long. Right? Yeah. The 3 reduce methods. Right? The reduce with only one parameter, which is a binary operator, is returning optional. The reduce with 2 parameters, and that's a reduce with 3 parameters. And see this, the operation which we do, we call it as accumulator. Fine. So we have a accumulator, we have a combiner. Identity, accumulator, and combiner. Okay. Fine. Clear on this? Okay, let's look at the other usage advanced, other reduction, which is nothing but a collector, which also results in a single thing. Let's see what is that collector. collect method, right? And that will lead us to collector. Sorry. Yeah. There are two collect methods here. Yeah. The second one, let's look at the second one initially. Then the second one requires what? What are the parameters? It takes a supplier of R, the result. Supplier of, so initially start with the initial result, okay, and then use,
By
it's a by consumer and not a function. When it is saying by consumer, it is basically updating. Here is a mutable operation on R. Find the main difference. It might look very similar because here also there is an accumulator, and here also you will find a combiner, accumulator and a combiner. The difference here is the initial R which you are getting from that supplier is going to be changed. It is going to be mutated upon. It's going to be updated upon. Fine. So it's going to be mutated upon, right? Well, that's where the by consumer is here. Fine. In the other case, we had the by function. In reduce, we had the by function. Here we have the by consumer. Fine. And here, though they have used by consumer, later we'll see that actually it uses a binary operator here. It's a by, fine, in this case it's saying by consumer, but then we have something coming later which is about a collector. We'll see what that collector is basically and how to create collectors. How do we get various kinds of collectors to call this collect method. Okay, there are actually four things which would come up, fine, but here though there are three, we'll see there will be four things in all. There are four things inside a collector. Collector has those kind of things, but there's a fourth one also coming. So stream can, so a stream actually can never be infinite. We do have infinite stream, but when we do the operation at that time, whatever would be available in the stream, that would be used. Okay, let's look at the, so this is fine, this is the reduce operation as opposed to this reduce operation where we see this, right? What is the collect doing? Let's see that, right? This reduce is okay now. We could have just verified from this API about the reduce method. Just think one thing which was to be confirmed. Yeah, UTU. I had used that parameter name as R, but here it is. So yeah, it's the first in this, right? Second one is T. UTU. Okay. So that's okay. What we had written earlier. That's correct.